What is happening, guys? Jermaine Matt from the DFS 5 pack. I am not rocking it solo, as you can tell. I'm with my man, Ryan. What's up, dog?
What's going on, guys?
All right, before we, and for those who don't know, we are going to be covering the 2-game NFL slate tonight. Both games start at 7 Eastern. Before we get into that, I want to shout out our promoters real quick. And I've been forgetting to give the promo code out, which is a big part of it. So if you sign up for Jazz Sports, everyone knows we're talking about Jazz Sports. You get a no-risk wager up to $1,000 on your first bet. That's $1K back if your first wager is graded a loss. Sign up with the promo code 5PACK. It's pretty easy. The links will be in the description section. And then Loose Lines. Loose Lines is a site that I really like. They offer really good lines and odds over there, better than normal books. You get reduced juice and other perks. You also get an additional 50% off when you deposit there. I've been having fun, and I encourage everyone to check out the description section of the video. The links will be in there. Again, 5-pack. Man, I'm excited to make this video with you. It's been a minute since we got on here together.
Absolutely. Let's get after it. I feel like tonight's chalk is so obvious that, like, I was looking over the slate this morning. I'm like, going to be chalk, going to be chalk, going to be chalk. And then hopped online to see who the chalk was. It was all the same people. So it's a tough one to, like, have, I don't know, great thoughts on where you want to be different, but it should be really obvious who the popular players are going to be.
I completely agree. Should be, which one? Nope, wrong one. Can't screen, so it's got to be this one. All right, cool. Should be screen sharing now. So let's just do it position by position because there's only 2 games. As far as quarterback goes, who's your guy here?
So it looks like we'll have Stafford and Hurts as like supreme chalk, and then Russell Wilson will get a little love. And then I don't know, only because there's 4 quarterbacks. I'm sure Gilbert will get a few buyers, not many. Why would he? So for me, I do think it is a close call with Jalen Hurts and Matt Stafford. But I guess gun to head, I'm gonna lean Hurts, but it's close.
I think I lean Stafford, but it's close. I have no arguments and no really method for my madness.
It's kind of like, does Hurts run one in or not? If he does, he might be the better quarterback. If he doesn't, it'd probably be Stafford. It's a really close call.
I do give like I'm not sure how well Washington's offense plays. I could see that game just being a lot slower.
And Philly's actually committed to the run lately.
Yeah, exactly. I could see Seattle. I know the Rams D is the best D on the slate, but I could see Seattle putting up points here.
Sure.
So that makes me only like Stafford a little bit more. I'm with you though. Those are the clear 2 top guys, and then Russell Wilson works as a pivot. 1 game or 2 game slate. Like, just because he's not the best on paper doesn't mean he couldn't be the best today. I don't really see any reason to go to Gilbert.
No, not at all. My only problem with Russ is they are so top heavy with 2 receivers, and then when you take one of them out of there, and it's just Metcalf, and you could basically put Ramsey and double coverage on him. I don't have as much faith in Russ to want to make that pivot today. He's still Russell Wilson. He's still one of the best in the game. It's been one of his worst years in memory, but on any given day, it could be him. I don't like it enough to probably make the pivot today myself.
I get it. And as always, you're more of like a cash game, small GPP, 1 lineup type. And I think if you're just playing 1 lineup, it's tough to want to play Wilson with no Lockett. I'm with you there.
Definitely.
As far as running back goes, anyone stand out to you here that you love?
So obviously it looks like Sanders and is going to get a bunch of love. I kind of, I don't mind Rashad Penny given the price discrepancy and knowing that you're going to want to pay for Cooper Kupp and everything like that.
He looked good last week.
Well, he is good. He's like Anthony Davis before the last 2 years. Like, he's good when he's out there. He's just never out there.
Yeah, he is definitely. I agree with you. I think he is good too, and he's definitely a guy I'm looking at. Kyle Sanders just scares me. I get it though. Like, Philly's favored by a touchdown close in this game. Like you just said, they're committed to the run. He carries, in their last game. Now he's got time off. He looks like the top running back on paper today.
And if you have any faith in Washington playing well here, I can see why you would like Gibson. He's not getting enough buyers for the fact that he is the guy very likely to have the most touches. It's just such a bad spot for Washington, right?
The problem with Gibson for me is, like, you look at his game log. In games that they've won, he's balls. In games that they don't win, he does not. So I can, running some Washington pieces in tournaments just because they're going to be by far the lowest owned. But that's really the only reason I'd have interest in them.
Right. And if you don't love, like, this could be one of those days where if you don't love the chalk or you feel like you're just battling out one chalk guy versus everybody else, and you want to take a chance and go with like a smaller dollar GPP, just to have a little skin in the game and watch some football on a Tuesday, like a small Washington stack, like it's not insane that they play well. Philadelphia is not the Patriots of the last 20 years, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with Heineke in, this game I think would be a close game. Not that Heineke's some stud, but he's a lot better than Garrett Gilbert.
So are you.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And what about the Rams running backs? Weird to see SONY Michel priced over Darrell Henderson now.
So again, I don't think we know the actual answer to this one. I think it's very likely a timeshare situation, which is why,
Same.
If you feel like you check your numbers at the end of the day and there's a big ownership discrepancy, like using the other one's very intriguing. Like if all of a sudden everybody's on Henderson and nobody's on Michel, I love the pivot and vice versa.
I do think Henderson will be more popular than Michel.
Probably. I don't think it's crazy at all to think Michel gets more touches.
Same. I mean, Henderson hasn't played in a few weeks. Michel has been more solid than spectacular, but solid. So
I know I said this like a month ago. I thought they were similar, and you're like, "Oh, I think Henderson's better." Having watched Michel for the last month, I don't think there's a glaring discrepancy between the two. I guess was my kind of original point.
Oh, I got a bunch of I can't believe Ryan thinks Michel is as good as Henderson. I don't even think that's close still. But Michel has played solid for me. I think Michel is you talked about Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams is better than Michel. I can't remember who the other running back we were talking about was that day, but he's probably better than Michel. I don't think Michel is good at all, but he's been solid for them. I mean, you look at his, besides the 2 touchdowns he had, or that's like a Michel line, 20 carries for 79 yards.
Yeah. Okay. He's very boring. 4 yards a carry, 4.1 probably is the season average. Just, glancing at that, somewhere between those two. Not great in the passing game.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at their game logs. Henderson is by far the better back here.
Fair enough.
I don't even think it's close personally. I don't know.
I don't think Henderson's that good. I think he's a slightly above average running back in a system that's been good for running backs, strategically.
For sure. I like Henderson. I think he's solid, a little bit better than Michel. Neither of them are as good as Cam Akers, though, if he were healthy.
Oh, hell no. If Cam Akers was in this would be a different team if Cam Akers was here. He's a real difference maker.
Agreed. Next year, presuming he comes back healthy, I think they're set up well.
And that's what we were kind of talking about before we got on here. This has got to be the Packers' year because the Rams could be really, really good. No Cam Akers, no Robert Woods. This is your year to take advantage of that. Now the Bucs lose Godwin. I'm sorry, as a Packers fan, if this is not our year to get to the Super Bowl, I don't know what to tell you. It's all set up for you. It's yours to lose.
What do you think about Rodgers coming back now or leaving? I think he's going to come back. Don't you?
I told you for a long time I despise Colin Cowherd, but I've grown to like him more and more over the last year. And I kind of lean on what he said maybe a month ago. When a couple kind of is flirting with the idea of getting a divorce, and then you take a look, and as somebody who's recently been back out in the dating world, it's pretty gross out there. And I feel like he was talking about how Rodgers and the Packers need to just sit down in a room and be like, look, guys, we're not doing any better than what we have right here. This is the best it's going to be. Let's get into therapy. Let's talk this out. Let's make this work because it gets worse for both of us if we separate.
I agree with that, especially from the Packers side. It's the classic, the grass isn't always greener, right? And I think that might be true for Rodgers too, but definitely for the Packers.
Well, I think the Packers team is actually good now. For most of Aaron Rodgers' career and for a lot of Brett Favre's career, these were really good Hall of Fame quarterbacks who played on not very good teams. The mid-'90s Packers were really good, but they had to contend with those mid-'90s Cowboys, which were even better. Since then, it's been a lot of bad teams carried by good quarterbacks. This team can play, so it's not all on Aaron for once.
I agree with that, but I'll also say, that doesn't mean that if he left, he couldn't go to a team just as good, because I do think that while Green Bay's very good, I agree with you, they're very good. Without Rodgers, they're not winning the Super Bowl.
Oh, God, no. I mean, there's no quarterback. I think we saw what Jordan Love is, and I know it's only one start, but Kansas City told you everything you need to know in that start. When they blitzed on every play and he had absolutely no clue to figure it out. This is not a guy 2 games into his career, right? Like, he's been sitting there for a year and a half, and he looked lost.
Yeah, he did. He definitely looked lost until like the last drive. Great. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like, it seems like Rodgers is having fun. I've heard people mention that. Like, assuming, Devontae Adams stays, I just don't really see why he would leave.
So I'm going to add in one interesting point. So I had the good fortune, because of my career, to have a very long conversation with one of the Packers' main reporters. And this is what I think I may have told you before. And I asked him about it. I go, when Aaron Rodgers is talking to the media, and this guy's been working for the Green Bay, like high up there, like reporter type of stuff. I'm like, when Aaron Rodgers speaks, how much of it do you think of him is trolling the media? That he's just making things up so they can run with it. And he just kind of like, he has fun with it because he's just bored with it. He goes, at least 50%. 50% of what he says is he's just trying to get a rise out of people. And he knows what he's saying is going to be overanalyzed and talked about in the media. And I think I said that in the offseason. Like, he kind of just clowns with the media a lot because he's bored with them.
Yeah, I could see that easily. It seems like his temperament and his personality as well.
Yep. That is where some people don't like him. And this guy even said, he goes, it's my biggest issue with him. He's that guy that has to be the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
And I can see why that drives people nuts.
Well, I definitely feel like his likeness has taken a big hit with the COVID stuff too. Like,
yeah, I didn't like that at all.
I know people that were fans before that now like just think he's not, like, just have no interest in rooting for him.
I totally get that. So I went into about 3 weeks ago, I went to a stand-up show in a local club around here. And one of the guys who was the opener got up and he goes, look, man, this is the kind of sports fan that I am. He goes, I have been railing on Kyrie for 3 months about what an idiot he is, how he's tearing his team apart and absolutely just crushing him. He goes, as soon as Rodgers did almost the exact same thing, I was like, hey, man, he reads the defense better than everybody. Maybe he reads medical information better too. And that's...
I think for me, it was more just like the lying to people.
Nobody likes that.
He's always the smartest. He always has to be the smartest guy in the room. And you can tell, like, when he interviews, that's been his personality since he probably forever. I mean, I know he's got, like, there have always been rumors about, like, how him and his family are, like, completely separated. Yep. And he probably wouldn't be, arguably the greatest quarterback of all time if he didn't have this personality.
His family's also nuts, so I never held that against him. But on this latest thing, I didn't like that at all. I was not a fan. I will still root for him because I'm a Packer fan, and he's really good at football. But I was not a fan of how he handled it because he just lied. There's no other way around it. You lied.
Right, exactly. That's just it. Definitely, I mean, it definitely doesn't make him look good. But at the same token, like, I do think, like, they're a bigger fish to fry, and, like, yeah, he's great at football, so we'll move on. Everyone will move on, right?
Exactly. All right, let's move over to the wide receiver position. What do you think Cooper Kupp's ownership is, 100% or 99?
High. When do we know that? I mean, 90 gotta be. He's just, I mean, and Adams are the best two best wide receivers in football.
I mean, Kupp is a lock of locks in cash games. He's literally the first guy you put in there, and he's a tough fade in GPPs. Like, if I fade him in GPPs, it's because I'm probably, one, just taking a shot on a Seattle defense playing elite, or just going with, like, Odell and Van, or maybe, like, strictly on the running game or something. It's hard to picture Cooper Kupp not being one of the top 4 wide receivers on the slate. But if I didn't use him, you got to tell yourself a story. And you might believe Van Jefferson and Beckham ball, and maybe it just eats into him, or maybe the Rams just play the worst game of the year. But if you're fading Kupp, you better have a story in mind.
Yeah, I agree. And it's either, like, that the other guys do it, or, like you said, Seattle's D play is amazing. But even with Seattle's D, I mean, his targets are just going to be there. So on a 2-game slate like this, it's really hard not to just play him, especially when there really aren't other good spend-up options. I imagine a lot of love also.
I think all 3 Rams wide receivers are 3 of the top 5 wide receivers owned. And it probably goes like Kupp, Beckham, Van Jefferson, or Van Jefferson, Beckham, whatever it might be. They're all 3 going to be popular. Metcalf will get love because there's no Tyler Lockett. But even like Terry McLaurin, who I'm a huge fan of, like, I mean, how much desire can you have to play him here?
Not much. He won't get any love, I don't think.
No, I mean, the only reason he gets any love is because it's a 2-game slate. And even that's, I mean, it's small for a 2-game
I played Devontae Smith over.
Yeah, Devontae Smith is the other guy who's going to get a little attention today, right?
Only because he's like because Hurts is going to be popular and people want to use, guys with him. So it's Goddard. I mean, that's who it is.
Right. This is the kind of slate where like you can run a lot of chalk and just take a shot on one guy. Because as we move over to the tight end position, the defense, they also have overwhelming chalk, which is why it's a tough one to, I don't know. It's not the prettiest slate we've ever looked at.
I mean, Goddard is just, it's not even a question for me.
Like, who else could you possibly be interested in? Maybe Everett, because there's no Lockett. He might spread it over there just a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, if I were like or especially if I were like using Russell Wilson, then if I were using Russell Wilson in a tournament, I'd, because like you said, there's no Lockett. So, whether it be one of the other receivers or Everett, yeah, I'd have interest there. But like in an optimal lineup, no thanks.
Yeah, what's Goddard going to be? Goddard, I mean, Kupp's going to be like 98% in cash and like 85 to 90 in GPPs, and Goddard's not going to be far behind him.
Yeah, I agree. Because like it's not even hard to build the roster either.
No, and that's one of the reasons Kupp will be so popular. You have so much extra money today.
Yeah, like who would be your RB2 as of now?
I mean, that's where I'm going to watch ownership projections before I lock in this lineup. And if the Rams guys are, yeah, I like Penny though. I do, because there's no Chris Carson, and there's also no Alex Collins. Like, he's the guy.
It's also like just not hard. Like, who's your D here? The Eagles, but do you think
the Eagles.
Like you have to spend? Yeah, I do. I agree.
So I think like yesterday we watched the defenses all score pretty similar, right?
Yeah, the defenses all scored pretty similar. The Eagles are by far the top D on paper here, especially because I think Seattle plays decent. Now I think the Rams upside is probably right there with the Eagles just because they're a better D, but obviously facing a much better quarterback. So I don't know.
And if I was multi-entering, this is a spot where like you can run a lot of chalk and take a chance on the defense. Because even though like the Washington football team isn't my ideal defense, am I opposed to the idea of Jalen Hurts throwing a pick six? Absolutely not.
Or what if they return a punt or a kick for a touchdown? Like, if D does that today, that will be the optimal D. And it just like you said, if Hurts throws a pick six, like it doesn't hurt Hurts at all. You could use Hurts with Washington D on a slate like this.
Yeah, we saw all the teams last night. Yesterday's games, there was no prolific offense anywhere, right? It was really boring football all night long.
Yes.
Kudos to both the Vikings and Bears defenses for playing great, but that game was boring as hell.
We cut out, but I think we're back now.
Yeah, I was just saying kudos to the Vikings and Bears for playing great defense, but that game was a snooze fest.
Yeah, it was. Look, a big snooze fest. Okay, if you were like, it looks like, on paper, this is a nice build. Who would be the wide receiver you'd want to throw in here?
Like if I'm running a cash game, you got Cooper, Kupp, DK, Metcalf, and then this is very similar to the Rams running backs where like if I'm multi-entering, I'm going to mix and match these guys a little bit, but I don't have a great prediction between Beckham and Van Jefferson. Beckham looks better, and Van Jefferson's been awesome.
I think Beckham's going to be a lot higher owned, personally. Like, just not even looking at ownership or anything like that. It's the name. He balled last week. He's 200 cheaper. Jefferson did catch a long time, but only had a couple targets. Like, I just think personally, Beckham will be a lot higher owned.
I peeked at the ownership, and I thought it was actually. I got it up. Let me look real quick. And again, like this Van. Is early too. Yeah, they got Odell at 49 and Van at 45. So it's early. Owned. Yeah, both owned. That's where I said I think the three Rams wide receivers are three of the top five, and they're in there. And then the other guys, DK Metcalf and Devontae Smith, all guys we brought up. I don't love any of the other wide receivers. Now you want to take a chance with like a Freddie Swain? Okay.
Right. Or an Eskridge.
Right. Like, yeah, you could take a chance on some of these guys. Jalen Reagor.
Increments especially, but yeah. God, how bad is he?
Who? Jalen Reagor?
How bad is Reagor?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Anyway.
Right before Jefferson last year.
I don't know. All in all, though, it comes back down to what we were kind of talking about. Like, it's a pretty obvious chalk build day, but I don't have any great, like, GPP pivots that I think, this is your sneaky guy to get into. If I was multi-entering, like let's just say I was running like 10 lineups, I mean, I'd build my favorite lineup, and then I would just make like 1v1 pivots. I'd be like, okay, instead of DK Metcalf, we're going to fade him this time. We're going to put in Freddie Swain in this one, and then just make, the one other pivot somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. And man, just knowing Lockett's out also makes me like Penny more.
I mean, I think Seattle's going to want to run the football, right? And the Rams have not been great against, actually, the Rams defense overall has been a disappointment all season long.
Seattle always wants to run the football, so I'm with you there, 100%.
Yeah, you think Pete Carroll's got any opportunity to be done after this year?
Definitely. I mean, 100%, because it does seem like to me, and I've heard this, that Wilson and Carroll are probably done after this year.
Yep.
And if Seattle has an option, they've got to keep Wilson. Either way, if Wilson goes, I don't think Carroll stays anyways. He just seems like a little bit past his time. I know I've been a bigger fan than you are, but he's now like the oldest head coach. It seems like the game has passed him a little bit.
And traditionally, everywhere he's gone, he's had success and then worn out his welcome just because of the style that he coaches. And this is probably just his time right here. Like you said, he is older and everything like that. So I would say that's barring some sort of freaky comeback that Seattle makes, which is almost impossible. Like, I just can't see him still there.
Same. And I don't know about if Wilson's still there either.
I wonder what percentage of it is him being unhappy. And that's another thing Colin Cowherd talks about, it seems like every single day. Since Pete Carroll has become the architect behind Seattle, since can't think of his name, left a couple of years ago, and Carroll's had more say on who the players are. They've just taken a quick downward spiral. They make moves that make no sense. I like Jamal Adams. He's a great player, but you traded way too much for his safety. Yeah,
way too much for a safety who is, I think more name value than anything at this point. Not saying that he's a bad player, but they just gave up too much for him. I do tend to, I don't know, agree with you in that if Seattle can get some new, an offensive, a young offensive mind in there, it's kind of not the same situation with Rodgers because the Seahawks aren't good right now, but they've got pieces to be good.
Yeah, and I think, again, I don't know Russell Wilson. If you do, please feel to chime in. I don't know what percentage is he unhappy with the organization or is he unhappy with Pete? Because if a lot of it's just Pete and Pete's gone, he might love it up in Seattle and be perfectly content just to stay there.
Exactly. Or he might not like it up there. And you know what I mean? We have no idea, but I'm 100% with you that I do think chances are, if I were betting on it, I'd say Carroll's out after this year.
Agreed. I don't know, man. That's about all I see for this slate. It is not the prettiest one out there. Sure, I'll play, but I probably won't play too heavy.
Yeah, it looks like a very chalky one. Just not that many. When one of the teams, and that's Washington, is just so not out of play. Again, anything can happen because it's a one-game sample size. But on paper, there's so much down the pecking order. It makes for a really chalky slate.
It does. And then one thing I will say about that is with Washington getting no attention, the idea that Taylor Heineke and Gilbert are this massive difference. They're different, but I don't think it's insane to think that Washington plays well and gets it together for one game.
I agree with you. I mean, listen, Heineke has shown that he's capable, but I also get your point. How much different is Heineke and Garrett Gilbert?
Taylor Heineke was Ryan Fitzpatrick's backup to start the year.
Right.
So he wasn't Tom Brady's backup. He was Ryan Fitzpatrick's backup. You know what I mean? This is not a world-beating type of quarterback. And he showed some signs, and he's had some flashes, and he's had some moments and all those things. But he's not Josh Allen. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Patrick Mahomes. Hell, he's probably not even Baker Mayfield.
No, I've heard Stephen A talk about it. He has earned his place in the league. He should be a quarterback in the NFL, whether it's a backup or a fringe starter. But he's not. We know who Taylor Heineke is. Baker Mayfield is better than Taylor Heineke. It's just pathetic that that's even a question.
Well, and that, I'm not a huge Baker guy, but he's so banged up right now that it's really difficult to look at what he's done this year and use that against him. I mean, the guy has been playing through massive injuries. And again, for all of you guys out there listening to this, think about the times you've been in pain in real life and it hurts to get off the couch. Try being a small, undersized quarterback with multiple 300-pound dudes trying to hit you all day long. It's not easy.
No, it's not easy at all.
I'm assuming. I've never done it.
True.
It looks hard.
Yeah, it looks real hard. It's fun to talk about that stuff, though.
Amen. All right, guys. I'm all done. If you got anything else?
No, that's all I got. Appreciate you coming on with me. Hopefully we can get some more. We got Thursday football. We got Saturday football. Let's definitely make a video for Saturday because we got the Browns and Packers.
Yeah, I'm going to bet on the Packers on that one.
Yeah, I'm sure you are, and I think the Browns might be dead after that last game. Although I really thought if the Browns could win that game, it would be a good game in Green Bay. But now I'm not so sure.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.